us to increase in learning during the 3 weeks. And so Neshei Chabad is hosting these Zooms during the 3 weeks on Hilchos Habchirah. And we will be having it Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And on Tuesdays, Neshei Chabad will be hosting the regular Power Hour on the 3 mitzvahs of the woman with a 5-minute segment on Hilchos Habchirah. So we're going to start with Tehillim and Tzedakah. We're going to start with the Rebbe's Kapitel. Shir Hamalei Seilacha Nasasi Es Ine Hayesh Vashmaim. Hine Cheine Avadim Al Yad Adineim Keine Shifcha Al Yad Kiberta Keine Nenu El Adinai Elehenu Ad Shechanenu Chanenu Adinei Chanenu Kirav Savanu Voz Rabba Sava La Nafshenu Laag Hashananim Haboz Liye Yonim. Yechi Adinenu Marinu Varbenu Melch HaMashiach La'elam Vad. We're now going to say the Rebbe's Kapitel. Shir Hamales LaDavid Lulei Adinai Shahai Yelanu Yemer Na Yisrael. Lulei Adinai Shahai Yelanu Bekum Alenu Adam. Azai Chaim Beleunu Bachares Apam Banu. Azai Hamaim Shetifunu Nachla Aval Nafshenu. Azai Aval Nafshenu Hamaim Hazedainim. Baruch Adinai Shalai Nisananu Teref Lishinehem. Nafshenu Kitzipur Nimlata Nipach Yekshem Apach Nishbar Va'anachnu Nimlatnu. Azreinu B'Shem Adinai Oisi Shamayim Ba'aretz. Now we're going to say Kapitel Chaf. It should be as chus for all those who need a Yeshua, Geula, Refuah, and especially for protection and the merit of safety in Eretz Yisrael and the quick return of the hostages. Lamnatseach Mizmar LeDavid. Yancha Dinai B'Yem Tsari Segefcha Shem Lehei Yaakov. Yishlach Ezrecha Mikadesh Mitzini Sedeka. Yizkar Kol Min Chaysecha V'Ailascha Yidash Nasela. Yitan L'Chach L'Vavecha V'Chol Atzascha Yimale. Niranu Nabi Shuasecha V'Shem Lehinu Nidgo. Yimale Adinai Kol Mashalisecha. Ati Yadaiti Ki Shia Adinai Meshicha Yanehu Mishemei Kache B'Gevoris Yisha Yiminai. Eila V'Recha V'Eila V'Asusim Anachnu B'Shem Adinai Lehinu Nazker. Hema Karu V'Nafalu V'Anachnu Kamnu V'Nisaidat. Adinai Hashia Hamelech Yanenu V'Yem Karenu. Siyem B'Mishpat Tipada V'Shava B'Tzedakah. Please join as we give tzedakah together. We are very excited and honored once again to have Rabbi Mendel Mayzlesh, a shlich to Mexico City, teaching us to teach us the Hilchos Habchirah, and we are going to continue Bezras Hashem next Monday. And just before we start, I want to remind everyone this Sunday we're going to be having a Hilchos Habchirah Farbringen in LA Tyra at 8:00, and all women are invited to join. We're now going to have Rabbi Mayzlesh teach us Hilchos Habchirah.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the Shir in Hilchos Habchirah. As we mentioned, we're going to try to focus more on the Rebbe's Siches, on the Halachos, the Mishnayos that we'll be learning. In the past Shiurim, just for a fast recap, the first year we spoke about the importance of learning Hilchos Habchirah and how when we learn about it, we're actually participating in Binyan Beis Hamikdash. We spoke about the Sha'arim. We spoke about the different doorways in the Beis Hamikdash. We spoke about the steps in the Beis Hamikdash. Today, we're going to start speaking about different kelim, starting actually from the Mizbeach, which according to the Rambam is one of the main parts of the Beis Hamikdash, where the Rambam speaks about what the Beis Hamikdash is. So the Rambam calls it Bais lahakriv by karbanis, a house to bring karbanis there. According to the Rambam, one of the main kelim, or the main part of the Beis Hamikdash, is the Mizbeach that we use to bring karbanis. Now, interesting, the Rambam, when he describes the function of the Beis Hamikdash, in other Pirushim or in other Svarim, sometimes the Hadgasha is on the fact that the Shechina is there, or the Arein, the Kedesh HaKadoshim. The Rambam very much specifies the Mizbeach, because it's true the Beis Hamikdash is a place that Hashem reveals His Shechina, but on our hand, on our side, as a book of halachis, so what depends on us is the service in the Beis Hamikdash, what we do there, which that includes very much the Mizbeach and the Avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. So again, we're going to start off talking about the Mizbeach, and if we have time, maybe later on in this year, we'll try to touch also a few more kelim in the Beis Hamikdash. So we're going to start now with the halachas and Rambam that speak about the Mizbeach. This is the second perek, and then Rambam perek Bais, halacha aleph. We'll put up now the PDF, and we'll start the Rambam from inside. Again, perek Bais, halacha. There we go. Hamizbeach mekaymai mechuvan beyaser vein meshaninaisei mimkaymai leila. So again, today we're going to be speaking about the Mizbeach, and the Rambam starts off speaking about the place of the Mizbeach. The place of the Mizbeach is very specific, and we don't change it. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Divrei Hayamim, V'zeh Mizbeach la'ela liyisrael. This will be the Mizbeach for the Yidden. We already mentioned in the first perek of the Rambam that after the Beis Hamikdash was built in Yerushalayim, you can't build a house for Hashem, lahakriv by karbanis, to bring karbanis there only in Eretz Yisrael and only in Yerushalayim, only in Har HaMoriyah, in the specific place of the Mizbeach. So here the Rambam says that the place of the Mizbeach is very specific. As it says, V'zeh Mizbeach leila liyisrael. This is the Mizbeach for the karbanis, that the Yidden should bring the karbanis here. And the Rambam now is going to give us some history about Mekem HaMizbeach. Uva Mikdash Nekad Yitzchak Avinu, Shenemar V'lech Lechol Eretz HaMoriyah, V'nemar Vayiven Shleimes Bais B'Har HaMoriyah. The Rambam is telling us here that the actual exact place of the Mizbeach, the Mekem HaMikdash, is also where Akedas Yitzchak took place. As we see in Parshas Lech Lecha, Hashem tells Avram, V'lech Lechol Eretz HaMoriyah. When Shlomo HaMelech builds the Beis HaMikdash, it says, "Vayiven Shlomo Bais B'Har HaMoriyah." So we see that it's the same place. Akedas Yitzchak happened in the same place where the Mizbeach was built, in the place of the Beis HaMikdash. Halacha Beis, we're going to see a little bit more of the history of the place of the Mizbeach. U'Meseides b'yad hakol sha'amakim shebana by David u'Shlomo HaMizbeach b'Geiren HaRavna. There's a Maseidah. We have Mekubal that the place that David and Shlomo built the Mizbeach and Geiren Haravna, that's the Shetach that was bought to build the Beis Hamikdash. Interesting to mention here, the Rebbe spoke about when we talk about Shleimus Haaretz, the places where Kavyachal, the Goyim have problems with. There is a clear document that we bought it Bekesef Molin. When we speak about Yerushalayim, the Har HaBayis, the place of the Beis Hamikdash, David HaMelech bought it. David HaMelech bought this place with fully paid for it, and so to Chevrei, these places were fully bought. So the place that David and Shlomo built the Mizbeach in Geiren HaRavna, which is Har HaMoriyah, the place of the Beis Hamikdash. Here we're saying that it's a Maseidah. Before we said that it says in the pasuk that it's the same place, and here we're talking about a Maseidah. Apparently, because before we're speaking about Mekom HaMikdash, the place of the Beis Hamikdash in general, Har HaMoriyah is very big. But to say that the exact place of the Mizbeach is the place where Avram built the Mizbeach by Akedas Yitzchak, that's a Maseidah. When Noach came out of the Teva, he built the Mizbeach in this place also, where the Mizbeach is in the Beis Hamikdash. V'Mizbeach shikriv alav Kayin v'Hevel. Kayin and Hevel, when they put their karbanis, was also in the same place where the Mizbeach is in the Beis Hamikdash. Uvayikriv Adam Arishin karban kishenivra. This same place, when Adam Arishin was created, he brought a karban to Hashem, and it's the same place of the Mizbeach. Umisham nivra, from the earth of the ground of the place of the Beis Hamikdash, that's where Adam Arishin was created from. Amru Chachamim, Adam imkaim kaparasei nivra. The Chachamim tell us that the person, Adam Arishin, a person was created from the place of his kapara. The person was created from the earth of the space of the Mizbeach, and if Chas v'Shalom, a person sins, the kapara comes through a karban. So a person was created from the place where his kapara comes from. Moving on to the next halacha. Mideis hamizbeach mechuvanes harbe V'tzurasa yedua ish mi-ish. The measurements of the Mizbeach are very exact, and the form of the Mizbeach is also known. And we have it with a Maseira ish mi-ish. We know the exact measurements of the Mizbeach, and they're very precise, they're very exact. Mizbeach shebanu b'nei hagayla ke'ein Mizbeach she'asid li'banes asu ve'in la'oisiv al midasei v'lei ligreya mimenu. So the measurements of the Mizbeach are very exact. And the Rambam says that when they came up from Galus Bavel to build the second Beis Hamikdash, and we mentioned in the previous Shurim that the second Beis Hamikdash was a mixture. They would love to build it like the Nevuah of Yechezkel, which is the Nevuah of the third Beis Hamikdash. They didn't know yet that there would be a third Beis Hamikdash. They were hoping that their Beis Hamikdash would be eternal. But they tried to build it according to Yechezkel, but it ended up being a mixture. They couldn't understand all the psukim of Yechezkel. So they ended up building it somewhat like in Yechezkel, and somewhat from what they remembered in the first Beis Hamikdash. So whatever they couldn't understand, they built like the first Beis Hamikdash. There were people there who remembered the first Beis Hamikdash, and you have the psukim in Malachim, and whatever they were able to understand, they tried to do from according to Yechezkel. Some things were mostly, a lot of the Beis Hamikdash was based off the first Beis Hamikdash. But one of the parts of the second Beis Hamikdash that was built according to Yechezkel was the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach in the first Beis Hamikdash was a little bit smaller, and the Mizbeach in the prophecy in the Nevuah of Yechezkel is a little bit bigger. So when they built the second Beis Hamikdash, again, some parts were like the first Beis Hamikdash, some parts were like the third Beis Hamikdash, but the Mizbeach was built like the Mizbeach of the third Beis Hamikdash, and that's why the Rambam says this is the one that we keep, and we don't add and we don't take away from the measurements of the Mizbeach. Again, the measurements are exact and the place is exact. And that's where we come to Halacha Dalid, that the Rambam is going to tell us how they knew this when they came to build the second Beis Hamikdash. How would you know the exact measurements in the exact spot where to build the Mizbeach? When they came to build the second Beis Hamikdash, 3 Nevi'im came up with them from Bavel. One of them told them where exactly is the place of the Mizbeach. One of them told them the exact measurements. And the third Navi told them a very interesting halacha. I mean, Navi doesn't tell halacha, but the third Navi told them and assured them that even though they didn't build the whole Beis Hamikdash yet, they just came up to build the second Beis Hamikdash. The whole binyan, the whole building wasn't built yet, but they were able to build the Mizbeach right away and start bringing karbanis. Now the question is, if the Beis Hamikdash is not built, but you're able to build the Mizbeach, could you bring karbanis, or you have to wait for the whole Beis Hamikdash to be built? So the third Navi told them that they were able to bring karbanis even though the whole Beis Hamikdash wasn't built yet. So let's go over this halacha. As we mentioned before, this space, the exact spot of the Mizbeach is precise, and we can't change it. So one Navi told them the exact spot where the Mizbeach belongs. Another Navi told them the exact measurements how they should build it. And another Navi told them that they could bring the karbanis even though the full Beis Hamikdash wasn't built yet. We're going to continue now the next halacha. Halacha. Mizbeach she'asa Moshe v'she'asa Shlomo v'she'asa b'nei Agela v'she'asa Eliyasis kulon eser amis geiva kol echad mehem. The Rambam mentions here that the Mizbeach that Moshe Rabbeinu made in the Mishkan, the one that Shlomo HaMelech made in the first Beis Hamikdash, the ones that were the Mizbeach that was built by the Bnei Agela, the Yidden that came up from Bavel and built the second Beis Hamikdash, and the Mizbeach that we're going to have in the third Beis Hamikdash, all of them, their height is 10 amis. The kol echad me'en, and kol echad me'en, v'zeh ha'kosuv b'teira, v'shalish amis ke'maseh, makim ha'ma'arocha bilvad. So the Rambam is saying that the Mizbeach is always 10 amis. All the Mizbeachs that were built by Moshe Rabbeinu, by Shlomo, by Bnei Agela, the one that will be, they're all 10 amis high. However, the pasuk says that the Mizbeach is 3 amis high. What does that mean? So the Rambam explains the 3 amis are the Mekayim HaMa'arach. But really, the Mizbeach from the base going all the way up is 10 amis. Now, let's show for a second the picture of the Mizbeach to understand what we're talking about. We'll take the first picture. Take the first picture of the Mizbeach. If not, we'll get it in a second. We'll see that the Mizbeach has like 3 floors, the Yesod, and then it has the Seiviv, and then there's the Mekayim HaMa'aracha, which is, here we see it. Perfect. Let's go through all the parts of the Mizbeach before we continue, so we'll know what we're talking about. Okay, so on the left side, we see the ramp. We already mentioned in the beginning of Hilchos Bais Habchirah that you're not allowed to go onto the Mizbeach with steers, and therefore we have a ramp going onto the Mizbeach. So that's what we see on the left side, the ramp going up to the Mizbeach. On the right side, we see the different levels of the Mizbeach. The first level, the bottom one, which is the Yesod, is the base of the Mizbeach. Then the second level is called the Seiviv. And then the top level is called the Ma'aracha. So on top of the Ma'aracha, that's where the Karbanis are bought. There are different fires on the Ma'aracha, which we might speak about soon. And that's where the Karbanis are bought. And on the 4 corners of the Mizbeach, you could see those 2 squares. So those are the Krones. Those are they had like 4 boxes, 4 squares on the 4 edges of the Mizbeach, the 4 corners of the Mizbeach, and those were called Krones. Soon we're going to see how much each one measured and what exactly, and how exactly they connected. So now that we have the form of the Mizbeach, let's go back to the halacha. Basically, so when we say that the first Beis Hamikdash, that by Moshe Rabbeinu, the Mizbeach were 3 amis, it's only the top part of the Mizbeach, the one that's the Ma'aracha, the highest part of the Mizbeach. We're not counting the base and the second part, which is the Seiviv. But however, also by Moshe Rabbeinu, if you would count from the bottom of the Mizbeach till the top, it would be 10 amis. Now we're going to go back to the halacha and the Ram. Perfect. Okay, and we'll finish the halacha hey. Mizbeach she'asu bnei hageilah v'chein asid libanis das arki v'rachbei lamed beis amis. Now, again, the Rambam is a book of halacha, so the Rambam is focused now on the Mizbeach, the way it's negate to halacha. The second Beis Hamikdash and the third Beis Hamikdash, because again, the second Beis Hamikdash is based off the third Beis Hamikdash from the Nevuah of Yecheskel that they had already before. So the width and length of the Mizbeach is 32 amis by 32 amis. We're going to move on now to halacha vav. Yud amis shel geiv hamizbeach mehen ba'ama basei tvachim umehen ba'ama bas shisha tvachim ush'ar kol amis habinyan ba'ama bas shisha tvachim v'geiv kol hamizbeach nun ches tvachim. So the Rambam says here a very interesting detail. When we talk about the amis of the Mizbeach, we're mentioning tvachim, and amis tvachim are always the same. A tefach is a fist. The amis usually, sometimes an amma could be 5 tvachim, sometimes an amma could be 6 tvachim. We mentioned in Yecheskel that when the Malach is showing Yecheskel the Beis Hamikdash, so his stick, his measuring stick is 6 amis, and every amma is an amma of 6 tvachim. However, the Rambam says that when we talk about the Mizbeach, some of the amis are amis of 5 tvachim, and some of the amis are amis of 6 tvachim. But all together, so the Rambam is going to tell us the amount of tvachim instead of telling us amis, and we're not sure which one are 5 amis and which one are 5 tvachim, which one are 6 tvachim. The Rambam tells us the whole measurement with tvachim, that the height of the Mizbeach is nun ches tvachim, it's 58 tvachim high. We're moving on now to halacha zayin. This was the form of the Mizbeach. Midase v'tzurasi, this is the form, and these are the measurements of the Mizbeach. Nimtza reichav shleishim amo shnei tvachim, al reichav shleishim amo shnei tvachim. So first we start with the yesod. The yesod is the base that we saw before in the picture, and the on the ground it takes 32 amas by 32 amas. It goes up 5 tvachim, it goes in 5 tvachim, and since it goes in 5 tvachim, the space that we have left, take away an amma from each side, but an amma of 5 tvachim. Usually amas are 6 tvachim, so you end up with 30 amas because you take away an amma from each side, but you have 2 tvachim more. So it's 30 amas and 2 tvachim by 30 amas and 2 tvachim. Allah shleisha tvachim, and then the seviv goes up. After it goes up 5 tvachim and goes in 5 tvachim, it's going up 30 tvachim. The kanas chamisha tvachim zeu seviv, and it goes in 5 tvachim, and this is called the seviv. So again, it goes up 30 and back in 5, and this space is called the seviv. Allah yud ches tvachim zo mekema maracha. Then it goes up another 18 tvachim. That's the higher part of the mizbeach, which is called the maracha. And the maracha is where they had the fires for the karbanos. Nimtza reich baish shmeina v'esrim amma v'arba tvachim al chav ches amma v'dal tvachim. So the space on the mizbeach that's left are 28 amas and 4 tvachim, and 28 amas and 4 tvachim. All yud ches tvachim v'chenis l'keren zavish shel yud ches binyan chol meruba l'kol arba kronis. Now then, on top of the mizbeach, we have the kronis. The kronis are the cubes that we have on the 4 sides of the mizbeach, and the kronis are not full; they're hollow. The 4 cubes that you have on the 4 corners of the mizbeach are hollow. Umekayim hakronis amma mizeh v'amma mizeh saviv. So the kronis take up a space of 1 amma on all corners of the mizbeach. Then there was a space for the kehanim to walk around the top of the mizbeach, also an amma. So the space that was left with the maracha was 24 amas, and 4 tvachim by 24 amas and 4 tvachim. So we just spoke here about the measurement of the mizbeach. I'm going to continue. Goiva kol keren v'keren chamisha tvachim, uravua kol keren amma al amma, v'arba kronis chalulos, hayu mitechan, v'geva mekei marach yichas tvachim, nim tuchat segeva mizbeach chav tes tvachim, misef aseviv ulamata. So every keren was 5 tvachim high, or are 5 tvachim high, and these kronis are square, 1 amma by 1 amma, going up 5 tvachim, and they're hollow. And then the Rambam says again that the maracha is 18 tvachim, so the middle of the mizbeach is chav tes tvachim, misef haseviv ulemat. Nim tachat together mizbeach chav tes tvachim, misef haseviv ulemat. I'm not sure if this is correct. I think it's supposed to say test tvachim. Let's see if I have another gears of the Rambam. Let's go to the picture of the mizbeach. Okay, so before we saw the mizbeach from the side, we saw the ramp going up, and all the halachas that we just mentioned. You're going in 5 tvachim, you're going up 30 tvachim, 20 and 18 tvachim. That we saw actually in the previous picture. In this picture, we're looking on the mizbeach from the top, and the line that you see that doesn't go all the way around is the yesod, is the base of the mizbeach, which is 5 tvachim upward, 5 tvachim inward, and is 32 amas by 32 amas. But on the corner of the Mizrach and Darim, the corner which is on the Mizrach Darim side, as you can see, the Saiviv doesn't go to that side. It stops at the edge. So the Seviv doesn't circle the whole Mizbeach. Interesting. The reason is because the whole Mizbeach has to be in the Shetach of Binyamin. And since the Shetach of Binyamin stops there, so the Yesod finishes there. However, it does take an Amma from each side. And that's why one of the reasons that Binyamin is called a wolf is because he chap an Amma from each side of the Mizbeach. So here we're seeing the Mizbeach from the top. And let's move on to the next picture. We're going to go to the next picture now, the colorful one. Here we see the Mizbeach. It's as you can see, the Mizbeach, the steps after the Mizbeach are the steps going into the Ulam, which lead to the Heichal. The Mizbeach is located in the Azara of the Beis HaMikdash. And as you can see, in the middle of the Mizbeach, there is a red line. In the middle of the Mizbeach, there is a red line, because when they would bring karbanis, some karbanis had to be sprinkled on the top part of the Mizbeach, and some karbanis had to be sprinkled on the bottom part of the Mizbeach. So therefore, they had a red line in the middle to show the top and the bottom. Before, when I was reading the Rambam, I think that Gersa might have had a mistake. The Rambam says, Shisha Tvachim Yisef HaSeviv, right? There are 3 levels of the Mizbeach. So the middle level is called the Seviv. You go down 6 Tvachim. That would be the middle of the Mizbeach, and you have a red line going around it to tell us where's the higher part and the lower part of the Mizbeach, to know if it has to be, if the blood has to be sprinkled on top or on the bottom. So let's stop here, and we'll speak a little bit about the Mizbeach. As we mentioned before, if just interesting to see it in the Shetach of the Beis HaMikdash, if you want to see it here, this is again the model that we were looking at the past few days of the Beis HaMikdash. So if we look inside this Shetach, it's called the Shetach HaZara, and here is the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach was more towards the Darim side of the Azara, the southern side of the Azara, and many karbanis, the Shita had to be done in the Tzafin. However, not all the karbanis, as we mentioned in a previous year. Let's speak a little bit about the Mizbeach. So as we mentioned before, the Rambam says that one of the main parts of the Beis HaMikdash is to bring karbanis, to Hashem. A karban, the word karban, also comes from the word kiruv, closeness, because when a yid brings a karban, he comes closer to Hashem. The act of bringing an animal to the Beis HaMikdash and bringing a karban actually brought the yid closer to Hashem. And when a yid was bringing his karban, there were also Levim singing special music in the Azara, and it would uplift the yid and it would bring him to a special closeness to Hashem when he would bring this karban. Now, in general, when we speak about karbanis in Chassidus, it speaks about Adam ki yakriv mikem karban la Hashem, karban la Havayim. It says, Hashem says to make a Beis HaMikdash, and he will dwell within us, not only within it, but within us. And really in our Avodah, Ruchnis, we also have Karbanis. Now to mention today, even though we don't have the actual Mizbeach, but there are still many things today which resemble the Karbanis, or act as if we bring the Karbanis. For example, davening, it says tefillah b'mkeim karbanis. Shacharis is in place of the karban tamid shel shachar. Every morning there was a karban born in the Beis HaMikdash, and shacharis is in place of the karban tamid shel shachar. Mincha is in the place of karban tamid shel bein ha'arbayim, a karban that was brought every afternoon. And ma'ariv is because throughout the night there was an ekter chalavim veivarim. They would burn the leftovers from the karbanis in the Mizbeach, and that's why we have Ma'ariv. Also, it's mentioned that when a Yid learns Torah and learns the halachas of the karbanis, just like Hilchos Bais Habchirah, when we learn about building the Beis HaMikdash, it's as if we're actually building it. It's actually the same medrash, and we mentioned it in the first class. When a Yid learns about the karbanis, it's as if he's bringing the karbanis, and that's why before Shachris, we mentioned the karbanis, because if we can't bring the karban, at least we mention the karbanis, that it should be as if we're bringing the karban. Interesting, just to mention, I don't want to get too much into it. into the halacha part, but we know that ladies are patur from mitzvah sasesha azman grama. If there's a mitzvah that depends in time, besides very specific mitzvahs like Shabbos, Pesach, but usually if the mitzvah is a mitzvah that depends in time, so ladies would be patur. However, karbanis is a chiyuv also for ladies. There are many karbanis that are only for ladies, like a karban yeledes. If a lady has a baby, then at a certain point she has to bring a karban in the Beis Hamikdash. Being that karbanis is a chiyuv also for ladies, so the karbanis really has a very special place for women to mention the karbanis, because when you mention the karbanis, when you learn about the karbanis, so this is a way to bring the karbanis in our times and to prepare for the karbanis lasin lavi. But again, it's also a participation in bringing karbanis. Tshuva sometimes is considered also like a karban. I wanted to focus mainly on what Chassidus brings on about a karban. That we said v'shachanti b'seichem, we have our Beis Hamikdash within. So we also have the Adam ki yakriv mikem karban laHashem. That when a person brings from himself a karban to Hashem, and it's explained in Chassidus, the famous mimer which mentions this is the mimer of Basi Lagani, and many other mamarim and sichis. It explains that even though we don't have the physical karbanis today, but we have the spiritual aveda of the karbanis. What is a karban in the spiritual sense? So it explains that the animal represents our nefesh habahamis and our involvement in inyane elam hazeh. This would represent the animal, because every yid has an animal and a neshama, a nefesh alikis and a nefesh habahamis. So the animal represents the nefesh habahamis. Now we want to bring also the nefesh habahamis karban laHashem. We want him also to get closer to Hashem. So what do? To bring the karban first, the first step of the karban is the shechita. Blood represents involvement, an intense involvement, an enthusiasm in something. So the first thing is take out the enthusiasm to inyane elam hazeh and dedicate that fire, that bren, that kach to likus, to godliness. And that's the eish, that's the fire on the mizbeach. Because this is a very interesting point. When they made the Chanukas Hamishkan in the desert, a fire came down from heaven, a fire came down from Shamayim, and consumed the karbanis on the Mizbeach. So too when Shlomo HaMelech built the first Beis Hamikdash, it says a coal came down from Shamayim in a form of a lion and consumed the karbanis on the Mizbeach. So the fire on the Mizbeach represents a heavenly fire. And the Nefesh HaBahamis, we want to take out the kach to worldly things, and we want that there should be a brand that it should get involved in the heavenly fire, the Eish Haliki. You should get involved in Inyanim Ruchnim. To mention, if now we're in the summer, so there's a whole sikh of the Rebbe about going to the country. It's very interesting. But part of what the Rebbe says is that it's okay to be involved in Inyanei Elam Hazeh, and sometimes it's even important for health or for other reasons. Sometimes it can be very important. However, the Rebbe says the kach should always remain to the spiritual sense. The kach shouldn't be so much in the gashmiistic part. The kach should always remain in the spiritual sense. So Inyanei Elam Hazeh is important. I mean, we have a behema, we're putting this Elam Hazeh Gashmi. However, the kach and the brand, we want that the Nefesh HaBahamis should have a brand and a kach to Inyanim Ruchnim. You should get involved in the heavenly fire. Talking about the fire that came milamayla, the fire came from above. If we're able to see before in the picture, so there are a few fires on the Mizbeach. There's not just one big fire. There are a few fires in the Mizbeach. There are different opinions of how many fires there were exactly, but there were a few fires of the Mizbeach. One fire was the obvious one to bring karbanis, and the karbanis were burnt on the fire on the Mizbeach. But there were another one or two, according to one opinion, there was another fire to take from there, the coals or the fire for the keteidas or for the meneda. But it says that there was another fire on the Mizbeach, and this fire was there for just to burn, just to have a fire on the Mizbeach. One fire was for Karbanis, one fire was for another use. If I'm not mistaken, in Yom Kippur, according to some opinions, there were 4 fires on the Mizbeach. But there was one fire on the Mizbeach that wasn't there for Karbanis or for a certain use. It was just there to burn a fire. And every day the Kohen used to bring Shnei Gizrei Eitzim, they used to bring 2 pieces of wood, and they used to put it onto that fire in order that it should burn. Just that there should be a fire. Why? Because Hashem says, there has to be a constant fire on the Mizbeach. And then there's a pasuk that mentions that the sons of Aaron should light a fire on the Mizbeach. So to be Mekayim, this mitzvah of lighting a fire on the Mizbeach, they had a special fire just in order to be Mekayim, this mitzvah of burning a constant fire on the Mizbeach, and that it should be from our tzad, from our side, that we burn a fire on the Mizbeach. Now, even though that a fire comes from Shamayim, just like it was in the Mishkan and in the first Beis HaMikdash, still mitzvah, it's a mitzvah that it should come in a hedyek, that it should come also from our side, from a person, from a kohen. It's not just enough that the fire is coming down from Shamayim. It's a mitzvah that a kohen should go up and burn that fire on the Mizbeach. He should put in wood and ignite the fire on the Mizbeach. This is very interesting. In other words, even though you could already have a fire on the Mizbeach because Hashem sends down a fire from Shamayim, the kohen also has to participate, which the kohen represents all of us. We have to participate in burning this fire on the Mizbeach from our side. What does this mean to us? Sometimes we have a siyua milamailo. We could have a isarusa dileila. There could be a isairus that we get from above. It's not just enough to take this isairus that we got. We have to also burn a fire from our side, We have to make sure that from ourselves, we are also igniting a fire. Not just take the revelations that we get from above, but also to arouse from our side, from our own keiches, to add to that fire and to add more from our side, from our own keiches. Now, this fire was so important that it should be burnt on the Mizbeach, that it should be bought and lit on the Mizbeach every single day, that every single day part of the Aveda was to put pieces of wood to light this fire. And this was done on Sunday, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos. That is correct. There were Kohanim on Shabbos putting wood onto this fire to light the fire, to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Ubir HaKohen, and that there should be the Eish Tamid Tukad al Mizbeach, to have this constant fire on the Mizbeach. There was a Kohen putting wood into the fire on Shabbos. Now we know if someone lights a fire on Shabbos, it's Chayav Misa. However, in the Beis HaMikdash, there were karbanis that were bought also on Shabbos. And the klal is, if it's tmidin, if it's something that has to be bought every day, for example, the Tammuz shel Shachar, the Tammuz shel Bein Arbayim, if it's something that had to be bought every single day, then you were able to do it also on Shabbos. For example, the Menorah. The Menorah was also lit every single day without any Eitzim in a klal. And so too, since burning this fire on the Mizbeach is tmidin, it's something that has to be done every single day, it was done also on Shabbos. This is a very interesting fact. It's a mitzvah. It's very important. And to the extent that it's done also on Shabbos. This is a very interesting fact. Now, the Rebbe learned something also out of this, a very interesting point. The Rebbe brings a Yerushalmi that says that there constantly has to be a fire burning on the Mizbeach. Tamid is also betuma. If there was no way to find a kohen that was tahir, so a kohen that was tameh would enter, go up on the Mizbeach and bring these pieces of wood to light the fire on the Mizbeach. If there was no one tahir, then someone tameh had to do it, even though it's a big problem to come in betuma to the Azara. Sometimes it could be even Kares. However, if there's no one else to do it, then it's permissible for a kohen to come in, even betuma, if there's no one else, and to put and to light this fire on the Mizbeach. And Tamid, even on Shabbos, that you light the fire on the Mizbeach to be Mekayim this mitzvah. I want to mention also, this is an interesting point, that in the Midbar, also the Mizbeach had to be constantly lit. You're not allowed to put it out. So, but in the Mishkan, they were carrying the Mishkan from one place to another. This parasha is Parashas Matis Masei. We're speaking about the 42 Masayos that the Yidden had in the Midbar. So what do you do about that? You have to move the Mizbeach from one place to another, but you're not allowed to put out the fire on the Mizbeach. Again, we're moving from one place to another. The Mishkan is moving with us. The Kalim of the Mishkan are moving around with us. They're moving around the Mizbeach many, many times. You're not allowed to put out the fire on the Mizbeach. They had to move the Mizbeach and carry it around while it was lit. They weren't able to put it out. But they were carrying it around while the fire was lit. How did they do it? They had to cover it also with a special covering. How would they do it? There was a kli called the psachter. It was a copper kli. They would cover the fire on the Mizbeach in a special way. And then on top of that, they would have this covering. And like this, they would carry the Mizbeach around without putting it out because there had to be a constant fire on the Mizbeach. Now, going back to the Rebbe Sicha of Eish Tamid Tukad La Mizbeach Li Sichba, the Rebbe brings a beautiful hira about this fire on the Mizbeach. The Rebbe explains like this. The Rebbe says that there are two Mizbeches in the Beis HaMikdash. There's the Mizbeach HaNecheshes, or the Mizbeach that we spoke about today, the Mizbeach for Karbanis. And then there was a Mizbeach inside the Heichel for Kseidas. Mizbeach HaPnimi and Mizbeach HaChitzin. The Rebbe explains Mizbeach HaPnimi represents Pnimius Alev, and the Mizbeach HaChitzin represents Chitzenius Alev. And what we learn about the fire on the Mizbeach is that it's not only enough to have an inside love to Hashem, an Ava Mesuteres, or an Ava Pnimis, but that love to Hashem has to reveal itself. It has to be shown also towards the outside. We have to reveal that love to Hashem, not only B'Pnimios, but also in Chitzenius Alev. It has to be in a revealed way, with Ashturim, with a Chayos, with a special revelation, not only to have it in our hearts, but to reveal this fire of our own Mizbeach, which comes with a kach and a bread to Inyanim of Yiddishkeit. Our enthusiasm, that is the Eish of the Mizbeach HaChitzin, that this love that we have to Hashem should express itself towards the outside. Says the Rebbe, the Yerushalmi says that you have to light this fire also Betuma and also on Shabbos. What does this mean to us? Someone comes and is very excited. He comes with a niggin, he comes with a shturim, he comes with chayus, and he's all excited. Obviously, the taina which is going to come now is a taina from the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara tells him, you're so excited, you're doing mitzvahs with so much excitement. Why are you so excited? You know you're maimedu matziv, you know where you're holding, and today you're not holding in such a good place. So how could you go with such an excitement and such a eish, even in a revealed way, you're expressing a big chayus in your Avedas Hashem, you know that you're tamei. You know, which means spiritually, you know that you're not on a very holy level. You know that maybe you have some things that are going wrong. So how could you be, so you want to do the basic, okay, but you're going with a bren and a kach. How could you do that you know, even when you know that you're not in such a holy level? Says the Rebbe, you answer the Yetzer Hara, yes. This enthusiasm, this kach and bren has to be there even if it's betuman. Adirabe, like a famous word that the Magi told the Alter Rebbe, that through the eish tamid, through the chayas, through the bren, it will take away the lie, it will take away all the nakot things. When you do Torah mitzvah, a bren and a kach, which Chassidus brings obviously, then that will take away all the lie, all the things which are not desirable. And then the Rebbe brings another side. You could have a big tzaddik, a big Talmid Chacham, and he says, I need to show enthusiasm in Torah and mitzvahs, a bren and a kach. I'm a very holy Jew. Excitement is maybe for people who need it, but I'm already holy. I don't need this excitement. Says the Rebbe, the Eish Tamid needs to be also by someone who's in the level of Shabbos. In a very high level, you also need this kach and this bren. So it's a little bit late, so I guess we'll finish over here. So again, what we spoke about today was the Mizbeach. We spoke about what a carbon is also, that our bren and our kach should be towards godly things, And then we said that as a Yid, we always have to have the excitement, the bren, and the kach and Torah and mitzvahs, even if someone feels that they are on a low level, even if someone feels that they're on a very high level. It's always important to have the eish tamid tukat al hamizbech leisichbeh, the bren, the kach, and the chayos in inyanim of Torah and mitzvahs and chassidishkeit. Shakech and Mayzlesh Hashem will continue next year, next week.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Mayzlesh. Your chayes is definitely felt in the shiurim. I want to remind everybody that this Sunday again, we're going to be having a Farbrengen, Hilchos Bais Habchirah by Malka Tauger at Labav Chur Yeshiva, 8 p.m. The topic is discovering the secrets of Har Maria. And please continue to help to build the Beis Hamikdash by joining future shiurim, telling your friends about it. And if you missed any shiurim, you can watch past episodes on Neshei Chabad's YouTube channel. See you all in the Beis Hamikdash.